We're surrounded by logos. They're everywhere, on our clothes, phones, even our coffee cups.
Yeah,
But how often do we actually, think about these symbols?
it's true.
We recognize them instantly, but how did this whole visual language even develop? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the history and evolution of the logo.
Mm.
Think of it like a crash course in logo literacy. You'll learn to decode the symbols that shape our world,
Yeah,
and maybe even win a few trivia nights along the way.
that's a great way to put it. Logos are so ingrained in our visual landscape that we often take them for granted. But understanding their history, I think, can give us a whole new appreciation for their power and influence.
Absolutely. We have an article here called The History of the Logo.
Right.
And I've got to say, some of the stuff in here really blew my mind.
Mm.
I always assumed logos were a relatively modern invention, maybe something that emerged in the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out the concept goes back way further than that. We're talking ancient Egypt.
That's right. When we think about logos, we tend to picture those sleek, minimalist symbols we see everywhere today.
Yeah.
But the roots of this visual language can be traced back thousands of years to the hieroglyphics used by the ancient Egyptians.
Hieroglyphics, as in those intricate symbols they use for writing. I never would have connected those with, branding.
It's fascinating, isn't it? But think about it. Hieroglyphics weren't just a writing system. They were a way to convey meaning and identity visually. Egyptians used these symbols to mark their possessions, tombs, and even entire dynasties. They were essentially using symbols to tell a story about who they were and what they valued.
So it's like saying, hey, look at this elaborate symbol on my tomb.
Right.
This is who I am, and this is how I want to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a personal logo, right?
Exactly. It's an early form of branding, a way of visually communicating status, power, and lineage. And that fundamental urge to represent ourselves through symbols hasn't changed. It's just taken on different forms over the centuries.
Okay, so we've established that humans have been using symbols to communicate for millennia.
Yeah.
But when did things start to shift toward the more abstract logos we see today? Was there a specific turning point?
There was. Fast forward a few thousand years to the 1870s, and we encounter a pivotal moment: the creation of the base red triangle. This simple geometric shape is considered to be the first abstract logo. It marked a significant departure from the more elaborate, illustrative imagery that was common at the time.
The base red triangle. I'm not familiar with that one. What made it so revolutionary?
Well, for one thing, it was incredibly simple and memorable. This was the era when color printing and advertising were taking off, and suddenly, businesses needed a way to stand out in a crowded marketplace. A simple, eye-catching visual symbol was far more effective at grabbing attention than relying on text alone.
So it was a product of its time.
Ah.
The printing technology and the rise of advertising created a need for a new kind of visual language.
Exactly. The Bass Red Triangle paved the way for the logo explosion that was to come. It demonstrated that a simple, well-designed symbol could be incredibly powerful in establishing brand recognition and cutting through the clutter.
That makes a lot of sense. But even the Bass Red Triangle feels pretty elaborate compared to some of the, super minimalist logos we see today.
Yeah.
Take the Nike swoosh, for instance. It's just a simple check mark, but it's instantly recognizable around the world. When did this trend toward simplicity really take hold?
The mid-20th century saw a major shift towards simpler, more impactful designs. A great example of this is the Chase logo, designed in 1960.
Right.
It's just the company name rendered in a bold geometric typeface, but it felt incredibly fresh and modern at the time.
I can see that. It has a timeless quality to it, even today. Was there a particular designer or movement that spearheaded this shift towards simplicity?
There was. The design world was heavily influenced by the principles of modernism, which emphasized, functionality, clarity, and simplicity. One of the leading figures in this movement was Paul Rand, a graphic designer who's considered a legend in the field.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
Didn't he design some pretty iconic logos?
He did indeed. He's the man behind some of the most recognizable logos of all time, including IBM, ABC, UPS, and even the Westinghouse logo. He had this incredible ability to distill complex ideas into simple, elegant visual forms.
So he was more than just a designer.
Yeah.
He was a visionary. He understood that a logo wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about communicating a brand's essence in the most concise and impactful way possible.
Absolutely. He famously said, "Design is the silent ambassador of your brand." He believed that a well-designed logo could speak volumes about a company's values, identity, and even its aspirations.
That quote really resonates with me. It
Mm.
makes me think about all the logos I encounter every day and how they shape my perceptions of different brands, even subconsciously. But if we look at the evolution of logo design, it seems like the trend toward simplicity has only intensified over the years. Why do you think that is?
Well, think about your own experience. We live in a world of visual overload.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with images, videos, and information coming at us from all directions.
Right.
Our attention spans are shrinking, and we need to be able to process information quickly and efficiently.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like our brains are being trained to skim and scan,
Right.
looking for the most relevant information in the shortest amount of time.
Exactly. And in this environment, logos have had to adapt. They need to be able to cut through the noise and make an impact in a fraction of the second.
Right.
That's why we've seen a move toward even simpler, more streamlined designs.
It's like logos have become a kind of visual shorthand.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to process complex imagery. We need something we can instantly decode and understand.
Precisely. And that's where the genius of designers like Paul Rand comes in.
Yeah.
He understood that in a world of visual chaos, less is definitely more. He once said, "A logo cannot survive unless it is designed with the utmost simplicity and restraint."
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
But this quest for simplicity, this stripping away of all extraneous elements, hasn't that limited the creativity of logo design? I mean, can you even do anything truly new and different within these constraints?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of the challenges and opportunities facing logo designers today. To explore this further, let's turn to the insights of Simon Charwe. Simon Charwe is a modern logo designer who has some really interesting thoughts on this whole issue of simplicity versus originality. He argues that logos will continue to evolve alongside consumer behavior.
That makes sense. Consumer preferences are constantly changing, so logos need to adapt to stay relevant, right?
Exactly. Charwe believes, and I'm quoting here, "It's important to see this challenge and work on coming up with novel ways of designing logos that encourage uniqueness and less repetition."
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Designers need to create logos that are simple and instantly recognizable, but also unique and memorable. That sounds pretty challenging.
It is. But I think there's still plenty of room for creativity within these constraints. Think about the evolution of the Apple logo.
Right.
It's a perfect example of how a logo can adapt to changing trends while staying true to its core identity.
Oh, that's a good one. It wasn't always that sleek, minimalist Apple we see today, right?
Yeah.
What was it like originally?
Remember the rainbow apple?
Yeah.
That design was brilliant for its time. It was bold, colorful, and really captured the spirit of creativity and innovation that Apple was all about.
I can picture it now.
Yeah.
It had a playful, almost psychedelic vibe to it.
Yeah.
It definitely stood out from the crowd.
It did. And that was important in the early days of personal computing when Apple was trying to differentiate itself from the more corporate, buttoned-up tech companies.
So the rainbow design was a strategic choice. It reflected the brand's personality and helped it connect with a specific target audience.
Exactly. But as Apple matured and its products became more sophisticated, the logo needed to evolve as well. They dropped the rainbow colors and went with a more minimalist, monochrome design. It was still the same Apple, but it felt, cleaner, more refined.
And that minimalist Apple is so iconic now.
Right.
You see it everywhere, and you instantly know what it represents. It doesn't even need the brand name next to it.
That's the power of a truly effective logo. It becomes a visual shorthand for the entire brand, conveying a whole set of values and associations in a single image.
It's like recognizing a friend's silhouette from a distance. You don't need to see their face to know who it is.
That's a great analogy. And I think it speaks to the importance of simplicity in logo design. The simpler a logo is, the easier it is for our brains to process and remember.
So it's not just about aesthetics.
Right.
It's about cognitive psychology. Logos that are too complex or cluttered simply don't stick in our minds.
Exactly. And if you want people to remember your brand, you need a logo that's easy to recognize and recall. Paul Rand understood this better than anyone. He once said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "A logo derives its meaning from the quality of the thing it symbolizes, not the other way around."
That's a profound statement. It's a reminder that a logo is just a symbol, a representation. The real value lies in the brand itself, in the products, services, and experiences it provides.
Absolutely. The Apple logo wouldn't mean anything if the company behind it didn't deliver exceptional products and experiences. It's the combination of a strong brand and a well-designed logo that creates lasting impact.
It's like that saying, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
No matter how great your logo is, it won't make up for a subpar product or a negative brand experience.
Exactly. But let's go back to this idea of instant recognition and visual impact. I think it's even more crucial today than ever before. We're living in a visual age where images and videos dominate our online experience.
Oh, absolutely. I'm constantly scrolling through social media, watching videos, looking at images. It's like my brain is wired to process visual information faster than text.
That's not just your perception. It's how our brains are wired. Images are processed much faster than text, and they have a more direct emotional impact.
So in this hypervisual world, logos have become even more important as a way to grab attention and communicate a message quickly and effectively.
Exactly. They've become incredibly powerful tools for building brand awareness and shaping consumer perceptions. In fact, I'd argue that in many cases, the logo is now more recognizable and influential than the brand name itself.
Really, the logo carries more weight than the actual name of the company. That's fascinating. Why do you think that is?
Well, think about it. A logo can tap into emotions, associations, and memories that we might not even be consciously aware of. Take the Nike swoosh, for example.
Okay, I'm picturing it now.
That simple swoosh evokes feelings of athleticism, determination, and achievement, even if you've never owned a pair of Nike shoes.
It's true. It makes me think of elite athletes pushing their limits, achieving greatness. It's aspirational.
Exactly. The logo has transcended the product. It's become a symbol of a lifestyle, a mindset. And that's something that a brand name alone can't always achieve.
Wow, that's a really powerful insight.
Yeah.
Logos have this incredible ability to tap into our emotions and create a whole world of associations in our minds. It's like they're speaking a language that goes beyond words.
That's a great way to put it. But it's important to remember that a logo is just a symbol. It's a representation of the brand, but it doesn't guarantee quality or value in and of itself.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
We can't get so caught up in the aesthetics of a logo that we forget about the substance behind it. A beautiful logo won't save a bad product or a poorly run company.
Absolutely. We need to be discerning consumers and recognize that a logo is just one piece of the puzzle. It's like a beautifully wrapped gift box. The packaging might be enticing, but it's what's inside that truly matters.
So going back to the Apple example, it's a great logo, no doubt, but it wouldn't mean anything without the innovation, the design excellence, the whole Apple ecosystem that supports it. The logo is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. It's a reminder that a logo is only as strong as the brand it represents.
And to bring back our friend Paul Rand one last time, a logo derives meaning from the quality of the thing it symbolizes, not the other way around.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, looking ahead, what does the future hold for logos? I've heard talk about this new technology called visual listening, where computers can actually see and interpret logos.
Visual listening, I haven't heard of that. Is it like facial recognition, but for logos?
It is. It's basically image recognition technology that can identify and analyze logos in images and videos. It has the potential to revolutionize how brands track their logo's presence and impact in the real world and online.
That sounds pretty amazing. Does this mean logos will need to be redesigned to be more machine readable? Like, will they need to be simpler or incorporate specific visual elements that computers can easily recognize?
That's an interesting question, and I think it's something that designers are starting to think about, but I don't think logos themselves need to fundamentally change.
So it's more about the technology catching up than the logos needing a makeover.
Exactly. Good technology should be able to recognize and analyze a logo regardless of its design style or complexity. If a company is worried about whether its logo will be seen by these visual listening tools, they should probably be focusing on finding a better technology provider.
That makes sense. But for those who are curious about this visual listening thing, is there a specific technology or company they should be looking into?
There are a few companies doing some really interesting work in this area. One that comes to mind is LogoGrab. They specialize in logo recognition and visual listening.
LogoGrab, got it. I'll definitely be checking that out. This whole conversation has really changed the way I look at logos. I used to just glance over them without giving them much thought, but now I find myself analyzing them, trying to understand the message, the history, the psychology behind them. It's like I've unlocked a whole new level of visual literacy. I'm seeing the world in a different way now.
That's the power of knowledge. It changes how we perceive and interact with the world around us. The next time you encounter a logo, don't just see a symbol. See a story. See the evolution of design, the interplay of marketing and psychology, the power of visual communication.
And for those listening, we encourage you to join us on this journey of discovery. Take a closer look at the logos you encounter every day. What stands out to you? What emotions do they trigger? What stories do they tell?
Share your thoughts, your favorite logos, your insights. We're all learning and evolving together, and there's so much more to explore in this visual world we inhabit.
It's like we've been swimming in a sea of logos our whole lives, and we're finally starting to understand the language they speak.
Hmm.
Remember, the best logos are more than just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
They're a reflection of who we are, what we value, and what we aspire to be.
It's true.
So the next time you see a logo, don't just see it. Feel it. Think about it. And you might be surprised at how much deeper your understanding of the world becomes.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of logos.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those deep dives going. It's like I've unlocked a whole new level of visual literacy. I'm seeing the world in a different way now.
That's the power of knowledge. It changes how we perceive and interact with the world around us.
Yeah.
The next time you encounter a logo, don't just see a symbol, see a story. See the evolution of design, the interplay of marketing and psychology, the power of visual communication.
And for those listening, we encourage you to join us on this journey of discovery.
Yeah.
Take a closer look at the logos you encounter every day. What stands out to you? What emotions do they trigger? What stories do they tell?
Share your thoughts, your favorite logos, your insights. We're all learning and evolving together, and there's so much more to explore in this visual world we inhabit.
It's like we've been swimming in a sea of logos our whole lives, and we're finally starting to understand the language they speak. Remember, the best logos are more than just pretty pictures. They're a reflection of who we are, what we value, and what we aspire to be.
That's true.
So the next time you see a logo, don't just see it, feel it, think about it. And you might be surprised at how much deeper your understanding of the world becomes.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of logos.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those deep dives going.